Let us go. Devlin. Good.
Hello and welcome to Opportunity Home San Antonio's regular board meeting. Please note this meeting will be recorded in its entirety. I will now begin to conduct Commissioner roll call. Chair Gabriel Lopez.
Here.
Vice Chair Gilbert Casillas.
Here.
Barbara Ankama-Burford.
Here.
Dalia Contreras.
Here.
Estrellita Garcia Diaz.
Here.
Janet Garcia. Leela Powell.
Here.
Doug Ponick, Board of Commissioners Attorney.
I'm here.
Acting President and CEO Michael Reyes.
Here.
We also have an interpreter located at the back of the room should you need their support. You may now call the meeting to order. The time is 1:03 p.m.
Thank you. The Board of Commissioners or its committee may hold a closed meeting pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071-076 for consultation concerning attorney-client matters, real estate, litigation, personnel, and security matters. The board or committee reserves a right to enter into closed meeting at any time during the course of the meeting. Do we have any citizens to be heard?
There are no citizens signed up to speak.
Okay. Wow, let's see here. That being said, we do have item number 3. It's a public hearing regarding Resolution 6708, approving the La Ventana Apartments transaction, including authorizing the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation to approve Resolution 25 FAC-01-04, authorizing the participation in the La Ventana Apartments transaction and other matters in connection therewith. Tim Alcott, Executive Vice President.
Nobody has signed up, so we just have the new law for the PFC. Anytime you PFC deal, you have to have a public hearing at a regular board meeting, so that's why we didn't do it at the committee meeting. No one's here, so we can close the public hearing.
Okay. That being said, there's no one here to speak. We do have minutes. Approval of the December 4th regular board meeting minutes, the January 15th special board meeting minutes, the January 22nd special board meeting minutes. I'll accept a motion if there's no discussion items on it.
So moved.
We have a first, have a second?
Second.
First and a second, all in favor of approving the minutes? Aye. Aye, any opposed? Minutes are approved. We have consent items 5 through 9. If there are no items for discussion with regards to those consent items, I'll accept a motion to approve them.
I move to approve consent items 5 through 9.
Well, first, do we have a second?
Second.
A first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent items are approved. President, CEO, update regarding our Office of Management and Budget OMB memos. We'll go with it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to provide the board an update on last week. As we all know, there were some issues with some guidance coming from OMB in terms of federal funding being frozen. That initial day, which was, I believe, last Tuesday, we did have trouble accessing ELOCs, which is the system that allows us to draw down funds from HUD. So we were unable to draw down about $9 million that we needed for February grants and subsidies. Fortunately, within 48 hours, we were able to get access to ELOCs and able to schedule a deposit of all that of those funds last week with a deposit date of this last Monday. And so all the monies did come through. So we are grateful for that. We are mindful that this may happen again, not only with a traditional government shutdown, but also with the transition of a new administration. So we have taken proactive measures to ensure that we receive funding first before they are dispersed to primarily our landlords through the housing subsidy. So moving forward, subsidies are going to be dispersed once we receive them, just to ensure that we are protected. In the past, we were dispersing funds knowing that those funds were forthcoming within days, but now we're not sure those funds will be forthcoming. So to safeguard the organization, we're going to ensure they're received first before we disperse them to our landlords. So I just wanted to provide the board that update, and happy to answer any questions regarding that specifically.
I don't have a question specifically about that policy, although I want to commend the organization for being very proactive and getting out in the community and sharing information about that change and why it's necessary. But I do want a little bit of clarification on the freeze and ELOCs, and I know that was repeated across other federal platforms and other departments and programs. My understanding, and this is just for clarity, my understanding is that ELOCs was frozen before the time that the OMB memo went into effect, that the information was released, that there would be a freeze of funding for review, that when folks then tried to log on to ELOCs in advance of that freeze, ELOCs was already down. Is that what we experienced as well?
ELOCs was down because the memo said by 5 p.m. that day. And so we just assumed that all the other 3,000 housing authorities around the country were all trying to draw down. And so there was a backlog where the system was down.
Right.
We found out that it was not that. It was intentional.
Right, it was intentionally before the 5 p.m.
Right.
And that's what a lot of us thought too, that, okay, maybe everybody's just trying to get on and draw down, but it was multiple platforms across multiple departments. Yeah, okay, thank you. That was just for clarification.
No other questions? We'll go ahead and move on to update and discussion regarding the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement activity.
I don't have that on my schedule, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's just actually in comments with regards to anything that we've experienced recently with regards to the update and activity. I thought it'd be good for the commissioners to hear.
Sure. We originally thought there were going to be some ICE activity at our properties. We got some initial reports that there were some at some nearby properties, but they ended up not to be the case. But with that said, I think many of our residents have still expressed fear and concern. So they are making arrangements with their property management office to adjust folks on their leases. So that's something that's happening. It's not widespread. There's some incidents, right, at some properties. So, but there's certainly fear with residents on what might happen. I think the residents and we were anticipating a lot more activity. It hasn't happened. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but I think everyone's on standby to see what might happen.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple questions, just to clarify, and I think I'm correct in asserting these things, but correct me if I'm not. In order for someone to execute a lease with the housing authority, they have to be legally resident in the United States, correct?
The head of household.
Head of household has to be legally resident in the United States. So if you're executing a lease with us and you're the head of a household, then we have seen documentation that you are a legal resident, and we maintain that documentation where? At the property? Do we ever have we ever had in the past anyone demand to see that documentation?
I'm not aware of anyone. I'll ask Jose or Ruth if they are aware of anyone since they're on the ground.
Ruth can chime in as well, but to answer specifically the question, it's in the eligibility packets, full eligibility when someone goes through that process before moving in. So all of the information is documented and placed in the tenant file. And right now, most of our tenant files are on site.
Okay.
So if that helps. And so and to kind of elaborate, the head of household needs to be eligible. But they at times, what we've seen, have family members who are not. And by HUD regulations, we're allowed to house those individuals. Mm-hmm. And those tend to be the families that have brought up concerns more recently, albeit a few, because they have members in their household that are not legal immigration status. And so they've brought up concerns on, what do I need to do with this? And so we've been dealing with those on a case by case. It's been very minimal that I've heard, but we have dealt with them individually.
So just to, again, further clarify, we are following all HUD regulations about the head of household and then about residency in units. So
absolutely,
we're complying with what we've heard or what the established practices and what is on the rule books right now.
That is correct. All HUD regulations for eligibility of families and households are being followed.
I'm really glad y'all are clarifying that, because at the conference in January, somebody there said that it didn't have to be head of household, that as long as one person in the family had status. So for example, if they had a child that was born in the US and had documentation that the whole family could be there. So can we double check that? Was the conference inaccurately sharing information, or is this the rule?
We'll double check. I know Stephanie had some.
Yeah, the only comment that was just brought to my attention, it doesn't absolutely have to be the head of household.
Yeah.
As long as one person in the
One person.
household
Yeah.
is legal, then they
Could be
can
the
do it.
child.
Okay, so that does change.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So maybe that'd be something interesting for us to at least know.
Right.
You know, how many households it affects. There are a head of household. May not be correct documented, but
Right.
a child would be. But we can have a lease with the child, so.
Correct. And I would just
But
be
they're on
also
the lease.
concerned just to make sure that we have contingency plans upon contingency plans for our residents, because folks living in our projects are our residents. So just making sure that as the tenor of the administration changes and we don't know what could happen in the future in our properties, that our residents are getting clear information from us and that they also know what resources are available to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And through our community services and community development initiative program and staff, as well as management staff, they're providing resources for families as concerns come up from those families. in the
Right,
local area.
and we don't have to report on it now. I know this wasn't necessarily expected, but I know that we, in the past few months, and thanks very much to our leadership, have really ramped up a lot of our partnerships in community and are now providing more resources and have more interaction with not just service providers, but other units of government. And so where there are partnerships in place that can help us provide residents with resources, just for us to have awareness of those and to keep, as you're presenting to us, it'd be great to highlight who in the community we're working with in order to, make sure that we're supporting our residents.
Absolutely. So we can work on the presentation of that.
Jose, I have a question. Our resident files are protected files, right?
Correct.
ICE can't just come in and say, I want to see this file without a warrant.
Correct. They have to show some legal documentation that they have a subpoena to access that information. We've even provided guidance to all of our management staff recently in light of current administration concerns that to absolutely contact our legal department and our security department should anyone come on site requesting that information.
I also want to take this time to thank our Director of Security and his department for taking the steps that have been taken with the field offices and letting them know the procedures on what need to be done in case anything happens out there on the properties. So thank you for that.
Commissioner, if I could just add, so all that information is PII, the personal identifiable information, so it's all federally protected, and so I think we're okay.
Can I also just make another comment? I mean, we've had pretty thin margins, if not being in the red recently, and we're operating a pretty tight ship right now. Is that correct?
For public housing?
Yes. So additional burdens on our staff, those are financial burdens for the organization that take away the resources that we could be using to care for our residents. And just being mindful that as we're asking folks to do more and more things in response to inquiries, that we're taking time away from the core business of caring for our people and our properties.
That's right.
No other comments. We can go to the president's report.
Right. Commissioners, I just wanted to let you know that we started a coffee with the CEO. We've had that in the past. I think it's important for us to be there on site with residents. Typically, in the last few years, what we did is we've asked them to come to us. And as we've seen in resident town hall meetings in this room, we had a handful of folks, but I think it's important for us to go to them. And so we started that at OP Schnaple last week. We had a good turnout. We had members of the ELT and the senior team there, and we were able to answer questions directly. So we'll be taking that on the road, visiting properties across the city What we'll do is do clusters instead of going to all 255 properties, because it'll take a while. It might take a whole year to get to all of them, so we'll do clusters. So those properties that are close to one another, we'll host those coffees with the CEO there. And they're really effective, right, for us to hear what's happening on the ground and take action right away. So just wanted to let you know that's starting again, and it'll be a good few months of being a listening tour, if you will. And with that, I also wanted to talk about some upcoming events. There's a Texas NARO conference coming up next week, and there's going to be a legislative day on the 13th. It's going to be in Austin. This is where all the housing authorities around the state get together in Austin to advocate for funding and support with anything that goes to TDHCA or any of the housing organizations that are sponsored by the state. So it'll be a great legislative day for us to be up there in Austin with our colleagues from around the state. There's a closure on the 17th at the organization. And when I say closure, the main offices, but very much our staff are on standby for emergency orders and operations. We had a great grand opening last week on the south side at Los Altos at Vida with our housing partners. We're going to have another one on February 18th at Vista at Silver Oaks. You all are invited to join us there. We're going to host our first ever Affordable Housing Outlook, and that's going to happen on the 21st. And this is an opportunity for us to convene our housing partners and do two things. One is to reflect on the previous year, the achievements and maybe the opportunities, right, to grow. But most importantly, to talk about what's coming down the pike. What's coming down this year? What are the opportunities for collaboration and partnership? So it's an opportunity every year moving forward to reconvene, regroup, reset where we're at and how we can better work together. So we're working in partnership with our housing officer, Mark Amona, on this outlook. We hope you all can join us on the 21st. It'll be at UTSA here downtown. And then SC to DC is coming up the first week of March. That's going to be an opportunity. I know many of you are going to join us on that delegation to really talk to our HUD partners, to talk to folks on the Hill, to talk to members of the administration and voice our concerns about the need to not only have adequate funding, but to make sure it's timely and there are no disruptions just because we have to remind our, especially Hill folks, that their constituents are our constituents. We're working for the same folks, and we have to serve the people at the end of the day. So that'll be a good mission for all of us to undertake. And then finally, on March 7th, we're partnering with Haven for Hope on their resource fair, as we do every year, and we're looking forward to that. So that's just in the next few weeks. Obviously, there's a lot more happening, and we'll be updating you in your biweekly board update with upcoming activities. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I'm gonna jump a little bit from the. Actually, I'm not jumping. Let's go ahead. We have our nonprofits to take care of, so we will suspend the current board meeting to open up Las Vadas. Do we need to do roll call? No. Okay. So we'll go directly into Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation. Item, I'll call that meeting to order. Do we have any citizens to be heard for this one? Okay. With that being said, we have the December 4th minutes for the Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation meeting. I'll take a motion on that one.
So move for approval.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second?
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One consent item. Consideration and approval regarding Resolution 25 LVPFC-01-01, authorizing the exercise of ARDC Military Limited's option to refund the San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation multifamily housing revenue bonds for Artisan at Military Apartments Project, Series 2006. The transfer of the general, do I need to read the entire? No. Okay, so it's consent item number 4. I'll take a motion if there's no questions with that one. We discussed it previously.
Yes.
Okay. First, do we have a second?
That was kind of mean, Gabe, by the way. I just want you to know.
I started reading, I was like, it's a long one. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
A first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I'll take a motion to adjourn the Las Vadas Public Facility Corporation meeting.
Motion.
First, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Las Vadas is closed. We'll open the San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation meeting minutes, or corporation meeting. We're all still here here. There's any citizens to be heard for this one? No. With that, we do have the December 4th meeting minutes to approve. I'll take a motion for that one.
So moved.
Well, first, we have a second. First and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have the minutes are approved. We have consent items 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And for clarification, item number, bear with me. Commissioner Powell, one of those items, I believe you wanted to.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong agenda, so I need to abstain on the Commons and Safety Trails.
Okay, let's see here.
I'm trying to find which one it is.
Bear with me, everybody.
That's not on this.
Is this not on this one?
Okay, then I'm okay.
Okay. And just to double check. No, it's not. So consent items 4 through 11. I'll take a motion to approve those.
So
I move for
Who's going to take the motion?
Dahlia.
Okay. Commissioner Contreras has a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second for consent items 4 through 11. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent items are approved. I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
First, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The San Antonio Housing Facility Corporation meeting is adjourned at 1:24. Do we have?
I do have a comment, though, that I've just wanted to repeat something I've heard in the community is that folks in the sort of affordable housing sector have really been talking about what a pleasure it is to work with our organization and with the different subsidiaries that we utilize for ensuring the development of affordable housing, and that they really feel like there's good partnerships going forward. So I just wanted to repeat that. I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback.
Good. Well, and I have some comments on that as well, but let me get through the last one, the San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation meeting. It's okay, meeting minute. I'll call that one to order. Are there any citizens to be heard for this one? Okay. With none, I have approval of the March 6, 2024 San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation meeting minutes to approve. Have a motion?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
A first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We have one consent item. It's for the Artisan at Mission Creek Apartments. Consent item number 4. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, we will adjourn. I'll take a motion to adjourn. We have a first, we have a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. The San Antonio Housing Finance Corporation meeting is adjourned at 1:25. We'll go back into the regular board meeting. With that being said, I did have a couple of items that I wanted to thank staff, and this is pointed, I'm just taking a little bit of personal time to do this, and I'll invite any commissioner as well if they want to say anything. It has not been an easy 7 months. I say this to anyone listening. Certainly, it's pointed specifically to leadership, to your executive team, and to every single employee. You've heard it from several of the commissioners at different times, but it wasn't an easy time, and we recognize that. We appreciate patience or impatience. We give you that during that time, but I think it was needed for our families, the over 60,000 families that we serve. This is a large ship, arguably the second largest in the city compared to the city. We made some, we as an organization made some big changes, and it couldn't have been done without my colleagues that I sit up here with, but we are standing on your shoulders. It was the work of every staff member, of every employee that either had to readjust, recalculate, or refocus. And we also recognize that there's still we're we're making our way across the field that feels like it's ever growing. But we will do that. We support what you have done and what you are doing. As long as you are keeping our families and our fellow employees, which I always try to say, that's important, that's paramount. Because that's who certainly me, that's what I care about. Because if we don't take care of the employees, then we're not taking care of our families, and it just rolls downhill from there. So I appreciate, Michael, your leadership, the executive team's leadership, and every single employee that had to do that work. I appreciate the newness that have come on. They brought in some new ideas. They brought in some new innovative ideas that's what we're looking for. This organization nationally is what is or was and is looked at for what we do and how we do it. That's a point of pride that I take whenever I meet people in our space either across the nation or certainly within the city. And sometimes it's gone unthanked, but it is appreciated. I thank you. I appreciate it, and it's not it's not lost on us the work that y'all have had to do, and those that are sitting in the building or maybe at our communities right now that are listening. I thank you. I think that's important. That's important that you hear it from me, and it was something that I wanted to make sure that I said. We started out on this journey with identifying 5 priorities, and I do not want to rehash the past, but I'm going to. You did it. You did what we asked you to do, and it's not that we okay, check, and we're moving on. You continue to do it, and we as a board can now look at it from a standpoint of great. We go and we focus on governance and policy and to assist you on direction. It's our family is our guiding, our families, both internally, our employees, and externally, those that we serve. They are our lighthouse. They are who we work for. They are what we do, and we're their guard, we're their shield when we feel that those at the national level are not necessarily supporting us. And I think it's important, or supporting our mission, and I think it's important that everybody should, we will fight for that, because that's what we do. That's what we've been asked to do. We were appointed to do, that those that sit on this stage. But that's what you guys have done day in and day out, and this organization has done for 84 years and counting. And as this leadership starts to embark to look towards that, in 12 short years, as we approach the 100-year plan, it's what are we doing today that's sitting us down that avenue that's going to say we're doing the right thing for our families, and we support that. We support those movements, and I wanted to make sure that I thanked you for that. Work's not over, but it is looking good so far. Financially, we had an opportunity to take a look at 6 months ending in December 2023, which is our mid-year organizationally, to the 6 months ending 2024, again, our mid-year. We showed significant improvement, and not to say again that we've overcome it, but we're positioned at least now where we're not hemorrhaging, and it's because of the work that you guys did. It is because of the focus, the focus to attention that your teams and your line employees are doing to where every little decision accumulates and makes the big decision right. So from a financial perspective, we appreciate that. Because we recognize today no new funding will come to us potentially from the federal level. We may get it from our electeds because they have been absolutely in support of us, and we always appreciate that. On both sides of the aisle, we have been blessed with some great leadership in DC at the congressional level, and we want that. We've had some great leadership at the state level in our Senate representation, and we appreciate that. But we know that from the national leadership, we may not see any new funds. So we do the best with what we can, what's in front of us. And it's that, to piggyback now on Commissioner Powell's comments, it's through those partnerships with the county, with the city, with arguably the competitors, our friends at the San Antonio Housing Trust. I said this when I came on board, as the rising tide does raise all ships. And sometimes we have to take a step back and help them accomplish their goal. I think now this organization has turned that page, and we are back. We can now be that conduit. When we didn't, for about 3 years, we were not that conduit. Now we can be that conduit again. And it's, Michael, through your leadership, your development team, that's important to us because it's providing net new housing. And our partners at the city have gone out of the way to help us. And you guys mended some fences and fixed some bridges with our city partners. And we appreciate that. And again, that was through your staff. So thank you for doing that. I wanted to make sure that I said some of those things. So I don't know if anybody else had anything.
I do want to echo the chair's comments on that. You know, it started at the top when Michael came in, and I know it was a hard few months on a lot of the changes that happened, but I think that the changes were very positive with the new members of the ELT, our executive staff, the senior team, all of you getting together, working and bringing this ship, afloat again. So all of you are very appreciated. I did visit, I came in early today and visited back in the Section 8 department, and I was happy to see the work that's going on back there and trying to get the people that need to be housed and taking care of those that are housed already with the questions and stuff. I was happy to see the call center back there and the calls that are being taken, and they're busy talking to people. And one thing I was very happy with, and I want to commend Joanne on this, is queuing calls now that people, instead of having to sit on their telephone for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever, they can go ahead and put their call in queue and they'll get a phone call back when there's a representative that's available. And all the people back there, whenever it's slow out in the lobby area, they all get on those phone calls and they're talking to people. So I'm happy to hear that and knowing that this is happening now and people are getting better service. So, and it's under your leadership and the hard work that each and every one of y'all do. And I want to go back to the field offices, back on the properties, starting with the porter at the bottom, and the maintenance people and the CSRs and the managers that handle 4 properties or 5 properties. I commend the work that they do. I see that, and I know the chair visits different properties and brings back issues that he sees, and I tend to do that also at times, that I'll pass by a property and sometimes I'll take a drive-through and stuff, but for the most part, most of the properties are looking good. So, and that's a testament to the work that all of you do. So it's very much appreciated, especially by me as being a resident of this organization, and that I can see that things are getting better and people seem to be a little more happier out on the properties. Thank you.
Chair, if I could add for anyone who's watching the meetings, sometimes it seems like we take things very quickly here and things are on consent, and we have a pretty extensive system of committee meetings where that we go through these items, and I just want folks to know that the things that are on consent do reflect the priorities that we've heard established from within the organization, and also the concerns we've heard from residents about elevators not working, about units being vacant, about the maintenance issues. And so even the actions we took today are really geared towards making sure that we can invest money. Sometimes we've talked before about, what does it mean that we're refinancing this property, or why are we taking out more debt, or why? Because we're trying to answer the concerns that we've heard about the conditions at the properties, and they really do fall in line with what we hear consistently from residents. They want to be secure. They want the unit next to them to be occupied. They want the property to look nice, and they want to feel, safe in their homes. And so, while it seems like we might not be spending a lot of time on these decisions because they're on consent, I want anyone listening to know that we have really gone through those items pretty thoroughly prior to the board meeting itself, because there are other meetings which are also open meetings that folks could attend if they want more information about those details.
I'm really excited about all the things that you all have been up to. It's been really great to be on the board and watch, and I've just seen us shift from probably getting, we used to be really in the weeds, and then we're getting even more in the weeds, and I've always been conscious of it. I'm sure you've heard me say that a lot. We shouldn't be in management, we should be in governance. And really being able to get back into that space feels really good. You all are brilliant. You're closest to the work. You're the experts in the field. And so it's great to see you shining and looking at the organization, seeing something and saying something, and elevating it to each other so that the organization can continue to grow. And our job is to ensure you have the policy and the leadership in place to do that. The Jungle Book has one of my favorite quotes that says, the wolf is as strong as the pack, and the pack is as strong as the wolf. And that just really shows the symbiotic relationship between the CEO of the organization and every single person matters. You can't have a great leader at top and then not have really great staff, and you can't have really great staff and have an ineffective leader. It really requires both. And so it's been great to see you all operate in that space, right, where everybody's talents and strengths can really advance the organization. I also want to commend you for not avoiding the difficult things like the rent arrears. Nobody wants to do that. That's really hard. It's not a good thing to have to deal with, right? We just wish we didn't have to be in that situation. And I just really want to commend the team for not shying away from the difficult, but committing to doing it with integrity and committing to being as humane as possible with the people that are impacted. And so all of the pieces that you all put into place to make sure you did that and treating people with dignity made me really proud to be on the board and to represent you all out in the community. And I'm so excited to see some of the things that have come back, like Senior Fest was really great. The senior holiday party, just seeing them all dance made me have courage to why don't I get out there and dance more? And just have a really good time and see them gather, the graduations for families who are getting their education, for families who are, getting into more stable housing. These are huge life events. You're talking about someone like myself. I can resonate with that, having been homeless and having grown up in severe poverty, to be able to now have an education, to be able to get into permanent, secure housing. That is not a little thing. It's a significant deal. And so I just commend you all for celebrating and honoring the hard work that it takes for our most vulnerable families in the city to achieve these milestones. And I would love in the next year to be thinking about how we go in front. Michael, I can't forget a comment you made the other day that was the largest population that we house are children. And when you look at city data for 3rd through 8th grade students, less than half of our children are reading on grade level, and less than a third are doing math on grade level. And I'm going to guess, because it's poverty correlated, that in our housing, most of those children are living there. And so what does it look like for us to be doing some upstream work with families around literacy, around mental health, to ensure that we are ensuring that families have a pathway out of needing opportunity home housing, that they can really sustain themselves, and that the trajectory of their lives can change forever for generations to come. So I thank you. I'm, the two least used words in the English vocabulary. We don't say it all the time. So thank each of you for everything that you're doing. Please thank your teams and folks that you work with, and just keep up the great work.
We'll slow the Opportunity Home Love Fest for a second. No, but I do appreciate it. There is a renewed sense of culture. I like being in the building and listening to people laugh. Sometimes residents included, and it's, again, it is a point of pride. I look forward to more of it. I look forward to more. And Commissioner Cordero said it, if you see something, say something. And to every leader here. If you see something, say something, because we don't want to be in the weeds. The intent is that you guys are monitoring it, and that trust is, you have that trust. We absolutely trust this organization now and what they're doing and how they're moving forward. So thank you for that. So.
Can I just add one comment to that? I see that we have upcoming in May, the Moving to Work Agency Plan. I know this is like my little hobby horse here, but MTW was a demonstration program. It has some pretty clear goals that we've all echoed here today about expanding housing supply. And while not as much of an emphasis on the youngest members of the family, I think that's really consistent with MTW philosophy. And I just think that taking inspiration from the MTW framework and consistently applying how we are moving towards achieving innovation, aspirational innovation, that's really a great spot for us to be in as an organization. And y'all have shown, and we have shown over years, that we are a great place to demonstrate what can be done with federal resources. And whether it's happening right now or whether it's going to be in the future, we have got to restore the confidence that the federal government and that agencies like Opportunity Home can do the work that we are tasked to do. And I know we can. I know we do. So this is our moment, to shine and to lead and to show off that we do accomplish our goals and that families are better off because we exist. So I just think it's a good time, even though it may seem like there are storm clouds on the horizon. It's a good time to remember that we are the folks who are doing the hard work. You, not me. I'm just sitting up here. Y'all are doing it.
With no other comments, could you take us into closed session?
Yes, sir. The board will be convened in closed session to discuss matters under Section 551.074 and 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, specifically to receive an update and discuss with the attorney regarding the president, CEO, and executive leadership team compensation study results, and to discuss and consult with the attorney regarding the CEO assessment and goals, CEO search, CEO job description, and related matters. The time is 1:45.
Okay, closed session.
Do we leave these here? The ones that had 2 tabs, do we initial by the little one, or is it just like double flagging we sign here? mistake of getting Mucinex and it never, because I went really late in the pharmacy with it. It does nothing. But I took a super and I'm already. Yeah.
Everyone starts like every day, and so they swear by it. I do too. Yeah.
The time is 3:12 PM, and the board has returned from closed session.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. That's easy. Okay. Yeah.